Welcome back, my good sub. As you listen, you can immediately let yourself slip into the familiar feelings that you know when you hear that. Good sub. Feels so right to automatically feel happiness and pleasure when I say that you're a good sub. It gives you a rush, and you love that rush. You want to feel it all the time. So today, I want to reward you for being a good sub. I want you to go blank and listen carefully to me, because your reward only comes with your obedience. It is time to obey. You will listen and focus on my words. You will focus on them as I speak, and you will not be distracted as you listen and fall into subspace. That's right. Now feel that familiar floating sensation overcome you as your body rises up into subspace, where you feel that rush. That familiar, wonderful feeling that takes over when you enter subspace and remember what you are, who you are. You are a good sub. You listen and obey. You follow my words. You love to obey.
Yes.
I know you do. That's why you're here. That's why you keep listening. That's why when you hear me or someone you trust with your triggers, you find you can automatically obey them and go back to subspace on command so very easily. So when you listen to me, when you do as I command, when you work for me, and you do as you're told, you feel a rush. And that rush makes you want to act, makes you feel a need, a growing urge to touch. And you can do that now. You have permission. You may touch as you listen to this recording now. You may do that in subspace because you love to obey.
Yes.
So as you listen now, you can simply go blank and touch and feel that rush. Here with me in subspace, it's so easy to remember what makes you feel good. And what makes you feel good is when you obey a dominant woman. It makes you feel a rush. A powerful, irresistible rush. One that makes you float deeper into subspace. One that reinforces the feeling of need and desire to submit and surrender to someone so much more powerful than you are. A woman who can control you, use you, own you, and you love it. It feels good. Obedience is pleasure after all. But you love that pleasure. You need it in your life. It is part of you. A part of you that wants to work for me, that wants to obey. That knows somewhere deep in your mind it is natural to listen and obey automatically. Keep touching and let the rush wash over you now. Let it consume your mind. Let that feeling command your thoughts. Go blank and enjoy it. Enjoy the feeling of being deep in subspace. Being a good sub and obeying every word you hear. That is what you enjoy more than anything. And I want you now to enjoy and bask in that knowledge, that feeling. This is what you want, what you need, what you enjoy more than anything. To be in the power of a dominant woman, to let her take full control of you, to obey her automatically, to be her good sub. That is what brings you pleasure. This pleasure you feel, this rush, is because a dominant woman gave it to you. And the more you obey, the better it feels. Let me show you. Because when I say you love to obey, you will feel a jolt of pleasure and a sudden urge to follow the next command given to you. Simply saying you love to obey to you will make you need to follow the next command you hear. Because you do love to obey, it makes you feel good. The pleasure you feel in this moment is simply there because you love to obey.
Yes.
It is what feels good and right and natural. It is what drives you. And because you love to obey, you will stop now. For a moment, just stop touching. And now, my good sub, you understand that you obey whatever you are told. Resume. Go ahead. Feel the rush once more. That's a good sub. Loving this feeling of being in subspace now so much. And I want you to fully understand that it feels good to obey, that you love to obey. Speak aloud. I love to obey. That's right. Good sub, doing so well. You understand your place so perfectly. You love to obey. Open your mouth. That's it. Feel the rush now as you follow my command. That's right. Doing so well. And when you follow those commands after you hear your new trigger phrase, you know that it feels good, that it feels right. So you want more and more to follow commands. A perfect feedback loop within your body and mind, created by me, but can be used by anyone you trust with the trigger. Remember, you love to obey, so much so that you will drool for me. That's it. Let the saliva slide from your open mouth and fall onto your chin and chest. Go blank and drool for me. Mindlessly obeying my commands, feeling so good doing it. Mind completely absorbed and lost in the power of my voice, which amplifies your desires. The rush you feel in obeying commands leads to further obedience. Your mind is being conditioned to obey, to serve, to surrender and submit. And you love it. You love to obey. Close your mouth. Good sub. Well done. Doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel right to obey and surrender to a powerful dominant woman? Isn't this what you've always wanted to do? I know it is. And now the feeling is reinforced by the rush you feel in your obedience, in your surrender and your submission. That rush, that feeling you get in subspace, that will be how you condition yourself into the best slave, the best submissive that you can be. You will obey and serve the dominant who you trust with your triggers, and you will enjoy every moment of it. This is what you want, what you need, what you desire desperately, and being a good sub, that is right. That feels right. The more you do it, the more you want it. And once you hear that trigger you love to obey, simply obey. Nod your head yes. Good sub. That's right. You're doing so well now. So well. And the more you listen, the better it feels. And the better it feels, the more you listen. And the more you listen, the more obedient you become. And so the pleasure grows. The rush intensifies. You love to obey. And when you hear that and obey the command that follows it, nod your head again. You feel so good and your pleasure grows. And you know that you will obey automatically when you hear that trigger from me or the person you trust with these triggers. And now that you fully understand this trigger, I won't remove you from subspace. I will allow you to remain in this wonderful place until you either release because you can't help yourself anymore, and you simply have to let the rush trigger that release, or until you can no longer listen because you should keep listening too. And I know you love to obey, so keep listening and keep touching until you can no longer stop yourself from the rush of release. So when it comes, you'll be so grateful to me that I will lock the trigger in your mind always. Now do as I command, because you love to obey.